Brian has graciously agreed to do at least one more show with me. And so, so we are going today, Brian, to move out of the present, which if people missed your show yesterday, I will eventually put up a card for that show yesterday because they missed a lot in terms of the present. But today, I know you have a special round object that you put in front of you and feel. I don't know exactly, some kind of future gazing thing. And I want to know what you're thinking about the future here. And I got some really specific questions for you.
Sure. Well, if you mean my crystal ball, that's in the shop. But if you mean my magic 8-ball, ask again later.
Ask again later. Thanks a lot. And proving that I've spent a lot of time with magic 8-balls. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Tesla famously is now an AI company specializing in robotics. Interesting is that I think Elon first said this, I'm going to say 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I still see headlines from YouTubers saying that Tesla is now an AI company. Anyway, if the community hasn't gotten it yet, how is Wall Street going to get it if even some in the community haven't figured out that there's been a massive switch in the way Tesla thinks about and the way Elon thinks about things?
So it is crazy to see. I still see people on X, on Reddit, on everywhere saying, I just want them to focus on cars. Just don't even focus on the just make a car. If you're looking at this as a car company, get out. Because the price is way higher than it would be for a car company. Do you at least acknowledge that it's an energy company? Because that's a multi-billion-dollar business they already have with a clear roadmap for expansion, and we're seeing the expansion underway already.
Right.
Let's add that into the pile. But, they need to focus on AI or focus on automotive. Forget AI, forget robotics. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because the joke I made on X was, I like Amazon, but they need to get back to their core business of selling books.
Right.
None of this cloud service, none of this appliances and gadgets and movies. What are you talking? A streaming service? I don't get it. It's ridiculous. And then you've got people like Ross Gerber saying, Netflix never sold a single DVD. What are you even talking about, Ross? Did you spend so much time huffing hairspray that you lost the plot completely? I don't want to judge. I mean, I do, but the fact is, it is more than that. When will people get it? A long time from now. How long was the internet a thing before everybody could accept that it was a thing?
Yeah.
Before you remember the video clip of an analyst saying Amazon is worth more than Sears. And the guy said, and laughing, worth more than Sears? You've lost your mind. And it was. It turns out Amazon is so many of the things Sears wished it could have been. And Sears should have been all those things. They just got too complacent.
Yeah.
So when will the analysts figure it out? I do have an answer to that. I interviewed Matt Smith from, at the time, Good Soil Investments, now Rebellionaire. Maybe 2-3 years ago, I had an interview with him where I asked, when will Wall Street recognize that Tesla has stationary storage? And he said, when the revenue shows up. FSD revenue is real. If on the next earnings statement they say, look, we're focusing a lot more on the subscription of FSD than the sale of FSD. On the sale of FSD, we can't even count all of it yet because it's not fully delivered. But on the subscription, you can count every last penny at the end of the month. That is AI money. That is autonomy money. Maybe not AI money. We know it is, but they can call it autonomy money. And then Wall Street will have to recognize it. And Wall Street loves recurring revenue. And if the numbers are good, which you and I believe they will be, then we'll have an opportunity to actually start realizing it. Same with the AI, same with the bots. Show me the money, then I'll count it.
So obviously, as you've just stated, if Tesla becomes, or if the world believes, if the street believes that Tesla is an AI company specializing in robotics, the multiple that will be applied to it, even the potential revenues will be much greater than could have ever been from just the auto company, or even from the combination of autos, trucks, semis, and energy. The numbers are just multiples of that. So this would be a very good thing. But the real question here then, what are you hearing in terms of the transition piece? I had Larry on yesterday, and Larry and I agreed that, no, that was on Saturday, and Larry and I agreed that 8.8 might be the most important meeting for Tesla in the 16 months that I've been on air. 17 months
Has it
that I've been on air.
has it really only been 17
17,
months?
yeah, December of 22. All right.
Wow.
So, do you think it's going to be the most important meeting? Do you think, what do you see happening between now and then? What do you see happening on that day? What do you see happening after that day? How do you see
Yeah.
it playing out? What's your narrative?
So I think Elon set forward, this is pure speculation. I think Elon set forward, I wish to accomplish these 5, 10 things. And he made the outline clear. He got the right people in the right room and told them, and then said, on 3 break, and everyone went off and got ready. I think we will not see all of them come together on the day, but I think enough of them will, that people like you and I will be talking about it for months, that all of the YouTube analysts will be studying this, that all of the publications that cover any kind of tech will look at it inside out from every angle for a good month or 2. And I think all of the haters are going to find 4 things that they can hate endlessly. And I think the stock, like all the other days, will move not at all, because it never does. AI day, you see these absolute dishonest clowns saying things like, oh, Elon's always out there pumping the stock, pumping it. It's a pump and dump. Okay, first of all, you have to actually sell the stock for the dump part. I don't want to spoil it for you, you clowns. But for the pumping part, look at the stock performance after AI day 2, battery day, autonomy day. The stock didn't move. And then you look at the stock after something like the last quarterly earnings, when the quarterly report came out that the production was a miss and low, and the earnings are going to be bad. And they came out and they were in the range expected of generally not great. And the stock went up 10%. The market's irrational. I think this day will be something very exciting to us, but Wall Street will continue to not get it. And I also predict I won't get a ticket.
So, okay, but what specifically? Okay, that's generally, okay, what specifically? Are we going to see, are we going to start seeing some kind of product in the wild, camouflage product, product under wraps? Are we going to see anything? Are we going to start seeing things that give us some hints anytime soon?
Well, I was hoping my vague answer would be sufficient, but I know you better, and I accept that I need to actually answer the question. So the actual answer is, I don't think we'll see road testing before then. I don't think we'll see leaks before then. I think what we're going to see on 8.8 is so different that anyone who could leak it would be fearful of doing so, because there's no way that this is what it is. Just like with the Cybertruck, there were so many people who got to see it before it came out, and not a peep came out, because I'm not going to be the guy caught leaking the fake prototype.
Right.
That would be humiliating. And then rolled on stage, and here we are. By the way, they'll never make those. Turns out they will, and they have. So I think we're going to see on the day at least a mock-up of what it will be. It may even be a working one. It may even be far enough along that they're ready to start road testing it. But they did just let go the head of new product development. So I am not convinced that they would be ready to do road testing, let alone functional fleet testing with it. It could be, I think we will probably see that by the maybe by the end of this year, definitely by the end of next year, because the Texas facility plans to start making them in some number by the end of next year. And I assume that I would like to think that the compact and the Robotaxi will be the same car, but I am increasingly thinking the Robotaxi is going to be a Johnny Cab, like we saw in Demolition Man, no, Running Man, no, Total Recall. But I think it'll be something that you and I can't get behind the wheel of
Right,
and race around a course.
right. Okay. And so do you think there will be both a RoboCab and a $25,000 vehicle prototype shown on 8/8?
I don't think the $25,000 car will be shown until the last possible second due to the risk of Osborne impact losing sales on existing 3 and Y for people who really want the new latest greatest. My friend Lightning Ryan Fulcher really wanted to wait and get a Cybertruck, and he couldn't do it. He finally broke down and bought a Ford Lightning. Loved it, loved the thing. In November it went in the shop. 30 days later he starts checking the laws, talking to an attorney, and sure enough they had to buy it back from him under lemon laws. And what a blessing in disguise, because he paid, I don't know, 80,000 for it, and the trade-in value was probably 45 when he got all of his money back. And he just took delivery of a Cybertruck a few days ago, and he's excited.
That's good. That's good. All right. So on the RoboCab side of things, will we have any kind of software ready to go? Will there be any actual what do you want to call it? Will we actually begin to see you and I be able to put our car into the fleet and start leasing them, renting them out, or putting them out there for robotaxis, either with us in the seat or with us not in the seat on 8/9?
Boy, I don't think it'll happen on 8/9, in part because that's coming up real quick. And I think a lot of the cuts that they've been doing have been very aggressive and very targeted at Wall Street appeal. And I'm not convinced that the cuts they've done are congruent with that. One thing that I got a lot of pushback on when I said that Elon cut too deep on the supercharging team, a lot of people said, nope, you don't get the vision. And first of all, I love it when people who kind of follow Tesla are experts. But the reality is, when it comes to people who've watched our channels, when you meet them, when I meet them, when I first went to an event and got to meet just these random people who kind of know Tesla, they know more than most Wall Street analysts.
Right.
Your viewers, when you meet them in person, you think, oh my gosh, they're going to come up and ask me some real basic questions. And they don't. When they have questions, my gosh, are they quality questions that really like make you stop. And anyway, I had some pushback from people who were saying, you don't question the genius when we're about to have a robotaxi revolution and we won't need chargers. Yes, we will. We will absolutely need chargers. We just won't need them in the same places. We won't need the same kind. We'll need different chargers. We'll need a depot full of robotaxi specific chargers, even if they're using inductive charging, which for that application you could. You still need the team that gets the permits to pull the power, to get the places built, the locations in the right spots. You still need all of that. So I don't believe Robotaxi Network launches this summer. I don't know when it launches, but not this summer. I don't think your car or mine will be level 5 in the next 60 days. I think that's too optimistic. And I know you are quite the optimist. You've been known to have some optimistic outlooks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think, it's going to be exciting. I still believe that they will not keep every single car they build. They would love to. They would love to just keep them all and turn them all into little money printing machines. But I think the cost is too great. Their cost is too great. I think they will allow like they've said, allow Uber, Lyft, whoever, allow Randy Kirk Enterprises to buy 5 and put them on the network. I think that's a great way to mitigate risk and expand as quickly as possible. And over time, maybe they'll prioritize internal sales more than external, or spin off an entire division. Who knows? But I think the future of purchasing from Tesla remains reasonably secure. And I think that some of the people, I've seen people saying, oh, this is going to be a penny a mile. No, it won't.
No.
The electricity costs more than that. Yes, you're removing the cost of the driver from the equation, but what you've just added back in is the cost of the car.
Right.
You still have to, today, part of that driver's pay, and a big part of it, is the car. So you'd have to add back in that. You don't have to be cheaper than Uber and Lyft at launch. You just have to be better. And you don't, no tips to deal with. Some people would pay more to not have to deal with the small talk. I'm in the other camp, but the not having to tip is a big thing. And to me, the biggest problem I have with Uber and Lyft is it just feels expensive. It feels like if I wanted to take it from my house to the airport, it would cost an amount that, I might as well go and just offer that cash to my neighbor and make the best friend of my life out of it. But it's
Yes,
crazy.
I can tell you, in my case, I'm in Riverside, and so I'm about 65 miles from the airport, and I just paid $100, $125, depending on time of day, for
Yeah.
one way on an Uber, not counting the tip, actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's expensive, and yeah, I think everything. I agree with everything you just said. So switching subjects a little bit but staying with the AI future, it was announced this morning. Elon said on X, he said, yes, the south end, I think it is, of the building in Austin, the new end, where they're adding on a huge data center going in there, as has been speculated for a while. I can't remember. I was trying to remember on my show this morning if it was you that was the first to say that.
No, I was the first to say it wouldn't be
Wasn't
that.
be okay.
Because the construction was inconsistent with a data center,
Data center,
and the
okay.
location is an active construction zone, which is not where you wish to put.
But data
Don't
center.
put sand where there's a data center, airborne sand. So no, it wasn't me. I was on the opposite side. And then the permits we saw, the initial permit said, no, it's definitely not going to be that. There will be data in Texas, but why would it need to be there? And then what Elon said, the announcement we saw today was that that the middle part of it would have and I don't remember the exact phrasing, but he basically made it sound like a crazy monster computer.
Right.
Which is, if you look at the power of Dojo, you wouldn't need a building as large as that extension is. And you certainly wouldn't have a wall of windows in a data center. That just creates thermal issues, among other things. So having some data processing there, I guess, makes sense for them, but the whole thing won't be a data center.
Yes, okay. And then they have a massive purchase of chips going on. AMD, it was announced, I think also this morning, is now mass producing the next level Dojo chips.
Okay.
So
AMD.
AMD
Okay.
is doing their next level. So these are not even slated for delivery. I think it said for 18 months or something. So these are Tesla design.
Dojo 2 or 3.
Yes, I think 3, if I remember. I might be off on that, so somebody can let me know in the comments. But anyway, so this seems. I asked this also of Larry the other day. I'm wondering what you're thinking. Is Elon, for ego reasons plus good reasons, going to be the number one owner, and is Tesla going to be the number one largest supercomputer capability in the world, just in order to be able to say it?
No, because that's not how they measure it. If you were to measure just total compute by company, that title would fall to probably Google or Amazon, because then you would have to count all the cloud compute they have for all the clients everywhere worldwide. And the amount of compute that Tesla's going to have is not going to rival that, because you have to remember Google also has AI compute cloud services that they farm out to
Right.
customers. Nvidia also keeps a lot of their chips and just rents out the CPU time, GPU time. And so I don't think he would do it for ego. If he wanted to do those things for ego, Giga Texas wouldn't have expanded just to the south. It would have also expanded to the east. It would not take many more extensions for this to become the largest building in the world. The cathode plant could have been built touching it.
Touching it.
The die shop could have been built touching it. And even if you just put those end to end heading east from it, it still counts. So no, I don't think the ego is the part of it.
Okay, all right. So do you think though here's another one. Scott Walter says he thinks Generation 3 Optimus will be out by the end of the year with new hands, probably based on the patent that just came out last week. New shoulders, new hips, will look much more slender like the original Optimus. Any of your sources helpful in understanding anything about Optimus, or are you going to have to find all new sources?
All new. I have no sources on anything bot related because the team is so small and my sphere of influence doesn't touch theirs. And any of the suppliers that they use are probably not automotive suppliers. And even if they were, I just don't think I could find anything.
Right.
So, because, I've got a guy who works for a company that does lights. Unless you're putting blinkers on Optimus, I'm not going to get much information out of this gentleman.
Okay.
Bob is his name. But so on Optimus, I did get a chance to interview Dr. Scott Walter as well. And I defer to him entirely on this matter because he is an industry seasoned expert. You are lucky to be able to get him on your show. We both are, because he knows. He's been doing it so long that he knows things instinctively that you and I are just starting to figure out. So what he told me, and what sounds right, is whether he says Optimus 3 may already be done. The only question is, will they show it to the public? When and why? If they're done recruiting, or if they've got enough that they can still recruit without showing the competition what they have, they may do that. Boston Dynamics didn't show their new Atlas until it was really ready to show, until they actually had the plan in place to make something of it. Right. Where Tesla didn't have that luxury. They said, look, we're trying to put this team together and we need your help. Come help us. And the objective was different. I think the objective has now shifted. They're no longer in recruiting mode. They're in hardcore engineering mode.
Okay. I have this weird question for you. You may have zero answer because I have zero answer, but you're smarter than me. So let's see. The companies, in particular, Neuralink, X.com, X.ai, Tesla, and SpaceX, have a lot of commonality right now with regard to compute, with regard to AI, with regard to the requirements necessary to. And so Tesla is building this massive computer, or computers. I don't know the right way to say it even anymore, whether this is one giant computer or multiple computers and they all talk to each other. Anyway, but then you've got X.ai with the AI brains working on the software and working on the next, the AGI, et cetera. But so is Tesla. And then SpaceX, they need to be able to make massive computations in order to be as successful. And then, of course, X.com, they've got Grok, although Grok is partly X. And then you got Neuralink, which maybe a brain has more reasons for AI and AGI computations than anything else. How in the world do they interconnect with one another? And I don't think there's ever been a situation like this in any set of companies ever where the need for intercompany transactions has been bigger.
I can't think of an example either, but let's look at some of the examples we have. The biggest question I have is, how do they manage the accounting between companies? And I've never been able to get a good answer on that, but all all of those companies, only one is publicly traded. So
Yeah.
I don't know. If their investors don't mind, then I guess I'm sure it's accounted for somehow. Look, I'm going to make this new truck, and the problem is I don't have a world-class metallurgy team. SpaceX does. The
Does.
same with the alloy for the castings. Well, you know what SpaceX needs? They need powerful, reliable electric motors for actuating the grid fins. Hey, you know who's got those? So we're seeing a lot of that cross-pollination. In terms of the Boring Company, I'd be very surprised if you couldn't find a whole bunch of parts inside the boring machine that have Tesla stamped right onto them. Um, but when it comes to the AI, I don't think all of these companies need their own necessarily to have their own compute. I could see when they did the first Neuralink implant, some of the threads that went in retracted a little bit and the bit rate slowed.
Right. Right.
So they were able to rewrite the software to get the bit rate back up to even higher than it originally was. That's an over-the-air update inside your skull. It is possible that they said we need to understand better what's going on with the firing of these neurons, put it into the machine at Tesla and run it overnight. That's something that computer had to spare. We know Tesla's not compute constrained, which runs a little counter to the idea that they're still expanding as quickly as they can. But when he says they're not compute constrained, I think what he's saying is the tasks 1, 2, and 3 are all squared away. We'd like to do 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
We need a little more compute for that, but you're always going to have a little bit left over at the margins. And the gains we've been seeing are tremendous. How do these separate companies actually intersect? Unclear. I would like guidance on that as well. Hopefully, Elon doesn't do a lot of interviews for people at all. Every few years, he'll do a little batch of them, but you never know when that's going to be. And a lot of the people who have the opportunity to interview are not as deep into the woods as
Right.
as
Yes, I know.
we're out there. We would have fascinating questions.
Different
And I
set.
think that's part of the reason we don't get asked is because I would want to know what is the throughput on a Starlink V2. And
Yes,
I don't think that's an answer they're prepared to share publicly. So
probably not.
probably not.
Yeah, so, and I also think that this combination of capabilities between the 6, 7, however many companies there are now, this combination of capabilities is something that is not in the stock price. And I think, maybe a buck of the $170 this morning is based on the fact that Elon has at his beck and call for Tesla all of this capability that from the other companies. It's kind of a remarkable thing.
Can you imagine being able to have those impossible questions and literally have staff who know the answer or how to find it in minutes? It's a unique opportunity. The reason I think you'd asked, why won't Wall Street count the AI as income? Should they even be doing it? Should they even be pushing that front? And the answer is yes, because they're capable of attracting that talent. And those are people that you'd be crazy to let go. If that division closed, you can't just put them over in new car design. That's not their area of expertise.
Yeah.
So I think it's a unique company, Randy. I don't know if you know that.
I think it is. I think you got something there. I finally, Brian, wisdom. I've been searching.
It's taking you a little while.
Oh, to recognize your wisdom.
I was young and foolish for a long time, but I can confidently say I'm no longer young.
There you go. I get it. I understand better than you. So, Brian,
I
thank
bet you do.
as always. Thank you. I didn't want you to be able to riff on that one. I wanted to be able to just take that one myself. Okay. It's always a pleasure. I'm sure you know that. I know you're advertising your buddy there in Germany with your lightning strike there, huh?
Yeah, Tesla Fix, who graciously allowed me to use his studio while I'm here in town. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Very, very cool. All right, Brian. Thanks again. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to y'all.